Hey, so we are out here at the Kasey Cemetery,
The
and
Kasey Family Cemetery,
uh,
also known as the Gates of Hell to a lot of the
yes,
locals.
because there was cult practices out here, and I'm gonna be totally honest with you. This morning, my truck wouldn't start, and then Mr. Biggs here, his tire blew out on the way over here. Not saying that they're related, but
It
it's kind of
sucked.
weird. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. So, I'm Mr. Biggs, this is Tohka. We are standing at the Kasey Family Cemetery. This is right outside of Elizabethtown, Kentucky. It's a local haunting spot. I've been out here back when I was in high school in the middle of the night, and it's super creepy. It's dark, you can barely see your hand in front of your face, and we were stupid. We never brought flashlights. More authentic that way. So this is a very old cemetery. Most of the graves start around the late 1700s, the ones that are actually readable, and go up into the early 1900s. There were reports of shadow figures wandering around, lights, orbs flying around in pictures. There was also talk of local, or not really local, like regional satanic cults coming out here and doing sacrifices. You can find bones around occasionally. It usually looks to be bones of small animals. A lot of the cemetery, a lot of these headstones look to be headstones for children.
Yeah, so actually back in the mid 1700s and in the 1800s there's a wave of different epidemics. And in the 1800s there were multiple cholera outbreaks during that time, and if you know, as we show some of the pictures and some of the video, you'll see that a lot of these headstones are children, and that they are, you know, dying in the 1800s during one of those. There was 4 different cholera outbreaks. So
one of the things with this cemetery being predominantly the grave sites of children, people leave toys, as you can see. The idea being that the children's souls are trapped in the cemetery, and you leave the toy to appease the spirits, or it's said that you'll have issues when you try to leave. Your car won't start, you'll see stuff, be harassed while you're out here, that kind of thing. We did bring a toy.
not that we believe in that stuff, but it's just a kind gesture.
I had one in the car, so here we go. We're taking part in the tradition of the area. So yeah, there's a good number of headstones out here. A lot of them, with time, have fallen into decay, and they've fallen victim to vandalism. But we're gonna do a little walkthrough with the camera, give you guys an idea of what we see. This one in particular is one of the newer newly touched anyway, with the most recent date on it being 1971. You'll see as you're walking through with these headstones, a lot of them will have pennies or quarters change on them with to kind of pay respect to veterans and to help them pass peacefully.
If you go further back into the graveyard, you will see that we get to older and older gravestone sites. As you can see that these ones back here have been out here for quite a while, to the point that stuff has grown up around them. And this area that we're heading to back here has all of the original stones, the original gravestones. These are all newer, and as you get closer to the front, you can see that they become newer. Some of these, like this one right here, have gone to waste. It's not very well cared for, and I don't know what happened to the original stone. A lot of these have fallen over. And this is the poor cemetery back here. This is where the original cemetery plot was, and it's expanded outward as time has progressed. You'll see that some of these gravestones look old and look like they've fallen over. Other ones look like they've been vandalized. You can kind of tell by the breaks in the stone. That one actually probably is not a cholera victim, because the cholera, the last one was in 1840, 1850, I believe. So, but that is a 1-year-old stone. It looks like it might have slowly come apart if you were able to get a better look at it. Same thing with this one. You can tell that the weight eventually just caused cracks inside of it. But and then we have back here some of the really cool looking older stones.
Unless it's nighttime, then they're just creepier.
Yeah, and then some of these stones here, as Mr. Biggs has pointed out, some of these stones here are actual markers for people that were not able to either afford or able to put together an actual headstone. There is a path down into these backwoods here, Mr. Biggs, if you want to tell them kind of a little bit about that.
Apparently this path is used more than it probably should be, because it's not overgrown at all. Other than the occasional spider web, it's fairly well maintained, and it's a little bit wider than to really be like a game trail. I believe it's where some of the locals are coming out at night and goofing off, doing recreational things off in the woods while they're getting creeped out at the cemetery. Back in the area back there, Tohka and I were talking, and I was like, you know, maybe at one point this was a quarry, and that's where they pulled a lot of these original older headstones from. They appear to be the same type of rock. Yeah. And then one of the paths we followed down, and it looked like there was something had tunneled into the rock, and I was talking to Tohka that maybe it was a natural spring at some point. And the hole that we saw, you'll see these pictures, maybe where the water was coming out. Yeah.
Yeah, that pretty much, that's the whole graveyard. Like we said at the beginning, we had some issues getting out here and everything. And then Mr. Biggs? Mr. Biggs? Where the heck did he go? There's no...